Hey, good day to you. Welcome to RFD today. We are Wednesday, June 19th, and a jam-packed show for you again today. We'll close out the hour talking markets with Jim Bauer at Bauer Trading. Lots to talk about there with the weather, with the potential Chinese deal. Lots of impact on the markets this week. We'll get the details. We'll also talk to Brad Clow and Kristen Kramer with Country. They have new hemp insurance that's being offered with that very, very, very hot topic here in the state of Illinois. We'll have the ins and outs of that program. And we'll be talking to Rich Giebert. Rich was in Chicago yesterday. We had originally planned to have him on the talk show yesterday, but we were in studio with Rich as we talk about all of the issues that impact Illinois farmers, from prevent plant, from the market facilitation payments, and, of course, the flooding in western Illinois and in southern Illinois. Randolph County is Rich Giebert's home, of course, and a lot of land between here and there. We'll talk about what he's seen and what they've been dealing with in the low-lying areas and flood-prone areas of the state of Illinois. That will be coming our way. We'll have time to take a look at the markets, of course, at the half hour. And as we mentioned, we'll talk country and what's going on. I bet since it's Brad Clow, we'll also get a little indication of what's going on as far as claim adjustments and assessments of the stands of corn and soybeans that have been placed in the ground. Lots of that going on even as we speak with all of those issues for corn and soybeans. So all that's coming your way on this edition of RFD Today. Stay with us.
Meet Ingrid, fiery spirit, carrying grandma, proud trucker.
I've logged more than 4 million miles in my truck. If people knew what I know, lives could be saved. I was driving outside of Ohio when a gentleman stopped suddenly in front of me. But it takes my 80,000-pound truck 200 yards to stop. I'd given myself extra room, but it's not a chance worth taking.
It's our roads. It's our safety.
Visit www.sharetheroadsafely.gov.
We know you want the best for your family. We do too. That's why Illinois farmers continually look for new ways to help. We're working with Mother Nature to preserve water, protect land, and provide food. From our fields to your table, we want what's best for all of us and for future generations to come. Learn more about conservation efforts at ilfarmersconserve.com. Preserving our water, protecting our land, providing our food.
This message brought to you by Illinois Farm Bureau.
RFD Radio Network's Jim Taylor connects rural routes for you. You can trust Jim every morning for your overnight markets. He gets up early to help keep farmers on top of their game. Here's a bit about his rural routes.
I have the opportunity to cover something different every day and provide listeners with up-to-date markets, news they need to do their job and be successful, from legislative issues to crop updates and weather, of course.
Be it routes or routes, RFD Radio, FarmWeekNow.com, and Farm Week keep you connected.
We are back on RFD Today on a Wednesday in studio with the president of the Illinois Farm Bureau, Rich Giebert. Rich, you just returned from a couple of days in Chicago and coming up from your southern Illinois farm over the weekend. What did you see?
As we drove to Chicago Monday morning, I saw a lot of short corn and corn just coming out of the ground. A lot of freshly planted fields. I assume some of those to soybeans, not only just on our trip to Chicago, but as I drove up Sunday evening. My goodness, a lot of fields just got planted in the last, 10, 15 days.
Still having your farmer hat on, leaving your Randolph County farm, how did you leave things and what's on your mind mid-June?
When are we going to get done? And some of us, when are we going to get started? Some just started. We just started planting beans a week ago Thursday. Finally got it right. We were supposed to get rain Saturday and Sunday. Didn't happen. So the planters kept rolling. We're moving on. It's tough out there, and a lot of acres have gotten planted. I talked to, some of our board members from northern part of the state. They've just got in the field, 10 days ago. We just got back to beans after a few rains. And I think it's getting close to people are starting to wind things up. But then there's other parts of the state that got 2 inches of rain Saturday night and go over to southern, eastern Illinois. They're still struggling to get a crop in the ground.
You also spent a sobering day on the levees a week ago Sunday. So we have that going on in the fields, and then those flooded areas, those flooded zones, quite dramatic. Yeah,
there was weekend before last, we ran into a number of sand boils popping up in a cluster area. They were small to start with, the size of your thumb, and expanded to where you could jump down through them. The amount of material that was moving and everything. So number of levee commissioners from 4 different levee districts got together, and we decided to call in Lure Brothers with barges of rock, and we dumped a little over 11,000 tons of rock and built a ring levee to hold down those sand boils and pump water in on top of that just to slow them down so we keep going. But there was 2 or 3 days we could have been in the field planting, but we decided to do what our duties call for as commissioners. And we've got great support and volunteer support from fire departments, all from Monroe and Randolph counties that pitched in and, carried a lot of sandbags. And volunteers came and filled sandbags on a Saturday morning, and they filled 15,000 sandbags in about 2.5 hours. So, great support from the community in the flood fight. While the state is dealing with that, with the flooded acres, the prevented plant issue questions that remain, there was, a silver lining in the market facilitation payments that will be coming. But I heard Congressman Davis say, and you probably heard him say this too, that, this is needed for farmers, but it wasn't something they asked for. No, we didn't ask for it, but it really will help. And when we were in D.C. A week ago, for the fly-in, we talked a lot about the USMCA. We talked with our congressional leaders. I spoke with Rodney Davis about the facilitation payments coming out. We had a visit with RMA Administrator Martin Barbary, talking about what answers we need and to get them sooner than later. But we were not able to get any real answers from them. But the Secretary is working on it. We wrote a letter raising the points that when we had a call with our county leaders the week prior or the 10 days prior to that, they had some questions, and we carried those questions to D.C. on our fly-in and try and get some answers, as well as visited with our congressional leadership about extending or postponing the payment date of October 1st for our crop insurance to December 1st and provide an opportunity for our membership to get a little harvest done and to get some cash to make those crop insurance payments rather than borrowing more dollars to make those payments, because those payments are substantial. That conversation also followed you to Chicago when you were meeting with Midwest presidents. So these issues affecting the entire country. Absolutely. Monday and Tuesday I had a great opportunity to visit with my counterparts from all the states here in the Midwest. And, Illinois is not alone with its challenges. In some states are having more success than others. And Iowa, for instance, except for one corner of Iowa, is pretty well planted. But you look at Indiana and Ohio, they're just getting started. And it's tough. And then they got more rain over the weekend. So it just prolongs the agony, you might say.
Sort of a higher level look at things. You were able to meet with Zippy Duvall, President AFBF, and anything else from that Chicago visit that's interesting to farmer members across the state?
Well, we had a speaker yesterday morning, Brent Ciotto from Aimpoint Research, talking about the farmers of the future and what are they going to look like in 2040. And he kind of broke farmers into 5 categories, from those that are traditionalists to those that are what I would call the eager beavers, the trendsetters, you might say, that are really technology savvy and looking for every opportunity, taking risks and going there. But the point is how do we as a Farm Bureau meet the needs of these different members? Because they're quite different, from lobbying to benefits, a whole host of things. So I think Brett set the stage for us as state presidents, try to sort through what is the best way for we as state farm bureaus or the American Farm Bureau to meet the needs of our members going forward. Are they willing to pay more for a membership or not? I've said, maybe a year or so ago about some California county farm bureaus. Their membership dues are $500 or $750 for a county membership. But they find value because of the water issues that they're dealing with. And it takes dollars to fight those issues. So really, at what our cost of the membership, we really get value for that.
Let's break there and continue this conversation after the break. We're visiting with the president of the Illinois Farm Bureau, Rich Giebert. We'll be back. And we will indeed be back with more of RFD today as we talk issues with Rich Giebert, president of the Illinois Farm Bureau. We'll be back.
And FarmWeekNow.com journalist Dina Stroish connects rural routes for you. From the Farm Bill to crop insurance to GMO labeling, her expertise is apparent in the stories she reports. Here's a bit about her rural roots.
I get to meet interesting people and share their stories, and I get paid to do it. I cover ag policy and really enjoy keeping the farming community updated on these important issues.
Be it routes or roots, RFD Radio, FarmWeekNow.com, and Farm Week keep you connected.
Spring is here and things are buzzing. Farmers and pollinators are working together to help feed us. In fact, 1 out of every 3 bites of food we eat exists because of bees, butterflies, birds, bats, and other insects. Pollinators are important to our food system and the ecosystem overall. That's why farmers and those in the agricultural industry are working together to protect pollinators through education, research, and conservation efforts. Visit ILAGformonarchs.org to join the buzz. That's ILAGformonarchs.org.
You're going to need me. You're going to need us.
All of us.
You're going to need our technical skills,
our math, our engineering skills.
You're going to need our help with your water, your air, your food.
You're going to need our organizational skills, our problem-solving skills.
You're going to need our determination, our honesty, our compassion.
You're going to need the next generation of leaders to face the challenges the future will bring.
And we promise, we'll be there when you need us.
Today, 4-H is growing the next generation of leaders. Support us at 4h.org.
Being around too much loud noise like a leaf blower or rock concert can cause permanent hearing loss. And once it's gone, you can't get it back. Hearing loss is the 3rd most common chronic health condition in the U.S. Almost twice as many people report hearing loss as diabetes or cancer. The louder a sound is, and the longer you're exposed to it, the more likely it will damage your hearing. Repeated exposure to noise can cause stress, anxiety, depression, high blood pressure, heart disease, and many other problems. Hearing loss from loud noise at home and in the community can be prevented. Avoid noisy places. Use earplugs, protective earmuffs, or noise-canceling headphones when near loud noises. Keep the volume down when watching TV or listening to music and using earbuds or headphones. Get your hearing checked and ask your healthcare provider how to protect your hearing from noise. To learn more, visit cdc.gov/vital signs.
This segment is brought to you by IL Soy Advisor. When you need a hand in the fight against insects, diseases, or low margins, click for backup you can trust. Checkoff-funded IL Soy Advisor is always at the ready with articles, tools, and webinars from agronomic experts and CCAs experienced in defeating pests and problems in Illinois fields. Find answers and advice for whatever you're up against at ilsoyadvisor.com. That's ILSOY advisor.com.
We're back here on RFD today visiting with Rich Giebert, president of the Illinois Farm Bureau. Before the break, we talked about, Rich, the membership benefits in this state. And when it goes back to a year like this, as we're sitting here today, several of your the staff members have been going by. And you mentioned your trip to D.C. Having a voice in Springfield and in D.C. when you're trying to get a crop in the ground is very valuable.
And it's important to our members, and we're able to carry that message to our congressional leaders in Washington, D.C. And the fly-in, I took our committee chairs and Ken Kripe, our new board member, to Washington, D.C. to tell their story, how their farms are impacted by and the importance of getting trade agreement with Mexico and Canada, how the trade mitigation payments are going to help or hurt them and their members within their district, and to talk about the planting challenges that they've had. Ever since last fall, it's been a challenge to get last year's crop out of the ground, get it in the bin, and then throughout the winter and all the issues that we deal with. But to tell their personal story to their congressional leaders in Washington, how important these issues are to them. And I was very impressed with their support. They know the importance of the USMCA. They know the importance of these trade mitigation payments coming out. Try to find answers to a lot of the questions that our members have about whether you should take prevent plant, whether you should not. Thankful we have crop insurance, and we got a bipartisan support. Very good support, probably the best support ever to get a farm bill across the finish line, and how important crop insurance is to our membership out here on the farm.
Just returning from D.C. on the big issues, USMCA, and will we get an agreement with China? Will that trade war cease? What did you come home with as far as those two issues?
One, China is going to probably be a little bit farther down the road. I was encouraged yesterday. I think the comments were, or maybe the day before, that President Trump is going to have a sit-down meeting with President Xi. So that's encouraging that the conversation is still going on. That our congressmen and women, for the most part, are very supportive of the USMCA and know the importance to get it across the finish line. And we encourage them to get the speaker to bring it to the floor for a vote sooner than later. Hopefully that can happen, and we get that done. And the importance, and thank them for all their efforts going forward. I mean, it's a tough job to be a congressman or woman. Mm-hmm. And they got to deal with a lot of issues. And some of them, I'm glad they're dealing with it, and I don't have to deal with it.
You're heading into your board week, your board meeting. Farmers from around the state taking time off from their farms. Always want to make note of that because of their continued commitment to these issues.
Absolutely. And, last week in the fly-in, we had two board members that, thankful they were able to keep the planters running back home. But they are committed to take time off. They know the importance to serve our membership and to tell our story and to carry their message to Washington, D.C., and they did it very well, and I appreciate it. Our board members are committed. They're willing to spend the time. We polled them just last month. You want a one-day board meeting? You don't want a board meeting? They were committed because of the issues that we had on our plate. They decided to come in for a 2-day board meeting and get done what we need to do and talk about the issues that are important to our members.
You've got plenty of issues for sure. Anything I didn't ask that you think is pertinent this time around?
Well, I just hope it keeps raining a little bit after we get the crop planted, because we've done some things out there we're not too proud of putting this crop in the ground. And we're going to need rain all summer long to get this crop done and kind of prolong a frost till maybe the end of October. We'll see.
Not too much to ask, for sure. President of the Illinois Farm Bureau, Rich Giebert, and we'll continue talking about what's out in the field. When we come back from our break, we'll talk with the folks from Country in studio for 2 segments with us today. Brad Clow, he's Crop Claims Manager, and Kristen Kramer is Program Manager for Agribusiness and Farm Production Systems. Good morning, guys.
Morning.
And I know you guys you got all your notes in order. We'll talk about this crop, corn and soybeans, and we'll also spend a lot of time today talking about hemp production and coverage, industrial hemp coverage when it comes to crop insurance. And Kristen will talk all about transport and growing on that side, and then Brad will come in and talk more about the production side and what kind of coverage is available out in the countryside. And I know for both of you guys, this is a new territory, really, for all of us in this state. So we'll get talking about that. When we come back, we'll also go into the marketing of this crop. Brad Bauer Trading, will be in with us as we talk about what's going on in the markets. We've seen quite a dip the last day or so. So we'll make headway in the markets coming back on RFD today. More farm news and information ahead. Stay tuned for more RFD Today here on the Illinois Farm Bureau Radio Network.
RFD Radio Network's Rita Frazier connects rural routes for you. Rita delivers passion and reliable information to listeners on the RFD Radio Network. Her radio career spans close to 3 decades. Here's a bit about her rural roots.
I grew up on a small farm. My job today allows me to connect with people from all walks of life and experience opportunity every day. I get to talk about what I love, farming.
Be it routes or roots, RFD Radio, FarmWeekNow.com, and Farm Week keep you connected.
The Illinois economy runs on our homegrown agricultural products. Our dairy, beef, pork, corn, and soybeans grow the agricultural industry by nearly $20 billion each year. But we don't just grow Illinois, we grow North America. Canada and Mexico account for over $45 billion in U.S. agricultural exports, and they support more than 1 million American jobs. Exports to Canada and Mexico matter to everyone in the agriculture and food industries.
A message from Illinois farmers and their checkoff programs.
Are dicamba products an important part of your toolbox this planting season? The state of Illinois has revised the cutoff date for their use. You can use the products over the top of soybeans until whichever of these comes first. 45 days post-planting, your soybeans reach the V4 or R1 growth stage depending on the product, or July 15th. State-specific labels work in conjunction with federal labels, so make sure you read and follow both. Remember, the label is the law. To find out more, visit ilfb.org/label-aware.
Farm, family, food. Those 3 words best describe Illinois Farm Bureau. Farm. For 100 years, Farm Bureau in Illinois has represented and served the men and women who make Illinois one of the top food-producing states. Family. At the heart of rural Illinois are traditional farm families who work together through Illinois Farm Bureau. And food. Farm Bureau families are proud to grow the healthy food they provide their families and yours. Farm, family, food. The heart of Farm Bureau in Illinois.
All ag.
All Illinois.
All now.
There are a lot of smartphone apps out there, but do they have what's important to us here in Illinois? The Farm Week Now app does, and it's always at your fingertips. All ag, all Illinois, and 24/7 where and when you need it for free. Go to your app or Play Store on your smartphone, hit search, type in Farm Week Now, that's one word, and download it today. Brought to you by Illinois Farm Bureau, where we're all about farm, family, and Farm food.
Warmer weather means a longer honey-do list. Your county Farm Bureau can help you stay on top of your project list and save you money along the way. A Farm Bureau membership offer includes discounts on equipment and supplies from Grainger, plus free shipping on all standard Grainger products. Browse thousands of items from landscaping equipment to power tools. Anything you need to get the job done, Grainger has it. Not a Farm Bureau member? Call us at 309-557-2689 or visit Illinois Farm Bureau online and join today.
We're back here on RFD today in studio with the folks from Country, and we are lucky to have such experts just housed right here in the Illinois Farm Bureau and IAA complex. Kristen Kramer is Program Manager for Agribusiness and Food Production Systems, and Brad Clow, Crops Claims Manager. So kind of opening remarks from both of you, if you don't mind. Just what do we know about industrial hemp production in the state, and what's available as far as coverage?
Well, it's an exciting time. It's not every day that a new ag commodity pops up. So with the passage of the 2018 Farm Bill, it brought about the legalization of industrial hemp. And we found out rather quickly, once December happened, that our farmers were very curious about it. And they were calling in, asking questions to our financial reps, wanting to know, is Country going to be able to offer coverage for us? So, Brad and myself, we really listened to that feedback, their level of interest, and spent the last 6 months really researching and diving into industrial hemp and what type of coverages we can offer to our clients to help them meet this need. Because, again, as I mentioned, it's a brand new ag commodity, and they're excited for it. And based off of, how kind of planting went this year, we're seeing a higher level of interest than I think if it wouldn't have been such a wet planting season. In terms of coverages that we can offer, so my area specifically focuses on the farm insurance side of things. So we're really focusing on, providing that liability coverage for grow operations. So liability coverage for your buildings, right? They're going to be growing in buildings. There's also going to be drying, storage, so insurance for that, as well as their farm personal property. So that would include things like their equipment that they're going to be involved with, their industrial hemp operations, as well as the seed prior to planting, and then that harvested crop, that harvested commodity. So that's really where my area is going, focuses on terms of coverage. And then where we fielded, I would say, the most amount of coverage questions, or from an eligibility perspective, is on those grow operations and those key areas of, can you provide coverage for while I'm, cultivating, planting, harvesting, and then transporting it after I've harvested it. Mm-hmm. And then the second area was for landowners. So there are a lot of Illinois farmers or Illinois landowners who have cash rent situations. And so their farmers were coming to them and saying, hey, I'm planning on growing industrial hemp. Are you comfortable with that? Those kind of things. So from a landowner perspective, we can offer coverage, as well as if you're a landowner and, again, a farmer is using your buildings for that drying, storage, and growing, we can offer coverage in those scenarios. So that's where we were kind of fielding the most amount of questions early on, and kind of how we decided where we needed to be there for our farmers.
Do you have an idea, an estimate of how many policies you might be working with this year?
Sure. It could be pretty substantial given that our market share in Illinois. We know that in Illinois, so the Illinois Department of Ag has approved over 400 grow applications licensed, and there's over 12,000 acres approved to grow. So that's substantial, considering in May it was just, their first opportunity to apply. And so the fact that there's already 12,000 acres that have been approved. So given that, and our market share, yes, there's a sizable opportunity of what Country will be sitting on this year in terms of hemp production.
And Brad, your, overall job, and tell us a little bit about your perspective of the hemp coverage.
Sure. So like Kristen said, once we determined and identified the fact that the legalization was coming out through the Farm Bill, Country Financial just wanted to take the approach that we wanted to have something available for these producers for coverage. So now the season that we've had with the wet season, with all the rain, the commodity prices, everything kind of boiled down to we need to make sure that we have something available for these producers this year. So we worked really hard to get those things in place. So what we have available is we have coverage available for the biomass, for the fiber, for the seed, and for the flour. So every part of that plant, we have availability for Country Financial to have coverage for that producer. So what we do is we've expanded this coverage. We initially started with $600 per acre, and the more information we were receiving in identified that it could be costing these farmers much more to plant this per acre. So we've expanded the coverage to extend to whatever their planting cost could be. So if they can prove to us what the cost is going to be for them to plant it, we can increase that coverage up to that amount.
As mentioned, Kristen mentioned it a couple of times, and we've been conversing about this. This is such a new territory. There has to be a level of excitement, right, even from your perspective?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So where do we go from here? About a minute in this segment. We'll come back. We have an 8-minute segment to go. But where do we go from here, Brad, on education and outreach?
Well, what we've done is we have created some publications to be able to get out to the public so they can see what we have available. What we also have sent out is to all of our certified reps who are expanded out through the state of Illinois to communicate this information to the farmers within their counties. And I would just recommend anybody listening that has received a license or a certification to contact one of their local certified reps and talk to them about what coverage is available.
And how, just briefly, how does this compare to, like normal corn and soybean type policies? Are we talking apples and oranges?
Well, what we're doing is we're only covering for hail, and we're only covering exterior grown hemp. So if they grow it within a confined area, we are not covering it under the crop hail coverage. But if they take that plant and then replant it out in the ground, then that's going to be covered. Okay?
Lots to learn on hemp production and coverage availability for industrial hemp in Illinois. We'll be back to talk more with the folks from Country when we come back. This is RFD Today.
Hi, this is Sabrina Hardy, RFD Business Manager. I want to thank you for listening to the RFD Radio Network, the #1 ag radio network in Illinois. Did you know RFD Radio Network's programming is being broadcast by Rita Frazier and Delosh Yankee with a combined 50 years of broadcasting experience? Join us daily. If you have any questions, email me at chardy@ilfb.org.
If you're in the mood for some sprucing up, you're in luck. From big to small or farm to front yard, your Illinois Farm Bureau member discount from John Deere is ready and waiting to help. It's easy to think green when it's the Rewards Loyalty Program with savings on equipment, special parts, and home and workshop products. Whether your tasks involve mowing, planting, or cleaning, you'll be set for whatever your work requires. All you need to do is sign up, have your membership number handy, and go to johndeere.com/Farm Bureau.
Take a look at your numbers. This hour, we are trading lower corn, soybeans, and wheat. Nearby July corn, we're down 2 3/4 this hour, 447. September down 451 1/2. December corn down 5 1/4, 457 3/4. March down 5 1/2 at 462 3/4. July soybeans in the nearby then, down a penny. We're at 912 1/2. August down 1 1/2. September down 1 1/2, and November soybeans down 1 3/4, 938 1/2. July wheat, Chicago down 9, 522 1/2. September down 8 1/2, and December trading down 8. We're at 538 3/4. August bean meal down 370, 319.80. Those are your numbers here on the RFD Radio Network. We're back here on RFD today talking crop insurance and industrial hemp insurance. Brad Clow, Crop Claims Manager of Country. Kristen Kramer, Program Manager for Agribusiness and Farm Production Systems. So Brad talked about the commodity prices on more of our traditional commodities here in the state. You know, when you talk about coverage in a new crop like industrial hemp, how are they pricing that? How do we know how much it's worth?
That's been one of the big questions. And, you know, with it being brand new to us, we've heard stories all across the board, $10,000 per acre value, $50,000 per value per acre. So this year for Country Financial, it's really a test run. We just wanted to make sure there was something out available for these producers who wanted to experiment or start planting this industrial hemp. We just want to make sure there was protection out there for it. But it is a year for us to start gathering data to determine if we need to enhance it, what we need to do for 2020.
And Kristen, you know, you talked about so many areas that your area covers. Back to that transport question, you know, we talked about visiting with Midwest truckers. When you get into the transportation, that's sort of a whole nother topic.
Yes, that's absolutely correct. So it's one of the things that obviously I think farmers are concerned about. You know, you've kind of heard those scenarios out there where maybe things didn't necessarily go as planned and stuff like that. So it's one of those things that, for the most part, it's a legal ag commodity now, and that's what it needs to be recognized as. So for us, from our perspective, it's no different than hauling corn and beans. Yes, obviously, depending on how they're harvesting it, it looks a little bit different, whether that's for seed or for fiber, which is more of the equivalent of, you know, hay and alfalfa and that kind of stuff. But it's a legal commodity now. And so it will be interesting to see. I think this is one of the areas, or I think a lot of people are hoping for, that the USDA steps in come, you know, late third quarter, early fourth quarter, and kind of put some more maybe regulation around that transport piece, especially when they are starting to cross state lines and stuff. So it'll definitely be something that we continue to watch, and I think all states will, you know, watch and monitor. And like I said, hopefully that's one of the areas that the USDA steps in the coming months and says.
Now, we mentioned you cover a lot of areas, but not processing.
Correct. So right now we're primarily focusing on the grow operations. We really just wanted to be there for our farmers. Obviously, being a company founded by farmers, that's where we first and foremost needed to start at. You know, it's been 6 months of, okay, here's a legal commodity, now we got to get up and running and those kind of things. So there's a learning curve for the farmers as well as, you know, an adjustment for us as an insurance company. So for us right now, yes, the primary area of focus is those grow operations, being there for our farmers.
So sort of adding all of what you shared with us and the fact that you're still doing an education effort, what's your take home? What should farmers know about what's available?
Sure. So the biggest thing that I think farmers need to kind of focus on, you know, here is just, one, letting their financial reps know that they're growing industrial hemp, and then making sure that they have coverage for it. You know, it's one of those things that when May opened up and it became, okay, this application process, everybody hurried up and applied for their state grow operation and got approval, and then it was, okay, I'm going to get my starter plants going and all of those kind of things. And I think sometimes maybe insurance kind of got left behind. So right now, you know, as, you know, planting's starting to round down a little bit here for some areas and stuff like that, if you are growing, reach out. Ask your representative, do I have coverage? You know what I mean? Those key things, and letting them know, explaining what your new operation is going to look like. And then, you know, we'll, you know, evolve with them just as they're learning and stuff like that. So that would be the biggest thing, is just making sure that they're reaching out to the representatives to let them, one, know that they've entered into this new space and this new ag commodity that they're growing, and then two, making sure that they have the appropriate coverage, because, you know, sometimes maybe the coverages that they previously had for their operation might not be applicable. And so we just want to make sure that they're adequately protected.
Sound advice. And Brad?
I'm going to echo what Kristen said, is if you are planting and you have any questions, just understand we cover the fiber, the flower, the seed, the biomass. We're covering everything with the plant. So go find one of our Country Financial certified reps and talk to them about what your farming operation is and how we can protect you.
So we're entering new territory with this crop, this, as you said, a legal ag commodity, new to the state, and a historic late planting season out in the field. So what can you tell us about what you're hearing from your claims adjusters and what's going on in the country?
Well, as everybody knows, it's been a very wet season, probably one of the wettest that I'm aware of, and most farmers I talk to that have been farming for 30, 40, 50 years say the same thing. So what we have received so far, we're just under 1,000 replant claims. That's what we've had so far to date, and we're at 1,484 prevent plant claims. So that's the largest number that we've had on prevent plant claims since I've been here. So that's been 10 years. So it's very, very close to 2013. We had, I believe, 1,200 in 2013. So, but we have released 130 of those. So what that means is that, whenever they were submitting these claims after the final plant date, then they are able to still get out and get in the field within the late planting period. Then we're able to release those at that time. But it's one of the wettest seasons that we've seen.
We have had so much information come out from country. Others have shared information too, but there's so many variables this year for sure. That's why you've kind of done extra outreach with your webinars, et cetera.
Absolutely. So we jointly worked with Illinois Farm Bureau and held 2 webinars, which reached out to approximately 6,000 farmers that were listening in. So we got the word out. We talked to them about what their options were. We had Doug Yoder on the phone as well, talking about any type of relief from Washington. We talked about the prevent plant options that the farmers have. So we're doing everything that we can to educate our customers. We have links out to the Illinois Farm Bureau for information for prevent plant. We have links out to our website. So we're doing everything we can to make sure people are informed and they can make the right decisions for their management.
So we have the prevented plant element. We also, will have assessment of those stands. You were in here not too long ago talking about your drone technology, how you'll be, surveying the fields and such, and you guys are going to have a busy time.
It will be busy. And unfortunately too, we've already had 394 claims on the crop hail side, which has to do with wind and hail. We had those storms come through just within the last 30 days. Some of those reports had 2-inch hail in it. So think about the farmers who are actually able to get crops in the ground and then have them destroyed by 2-inch hail. So it's been a double whammy this year, unfortunately, for our customers. So we're doing everything we can to make sure the information is out there. Our adjusters are out there to make sure that we're taking care of them.
And do you anticipate, as we talked about, utilizing that technology, the drone technology is great, but you only have so many hands and so much time. So, what's your thought or advice there as far as claims and that process for this season?
Well, actually, the way we have it set up, we have 4 pilots throughout in each district. We have 4 districts in the state of Illinois, so we have 20 pilots, and that's all they do. So they're able to go any place they need to go and fly these crops, and these crops are being flown within less than an hour, where before it would take us anywhere from 5 to 6 to 7 hours to actually walk that field. So it's very efficient. So even with the number of claims we're having in, we're able to get to all of these claims, get a bird's eye view, and make sure that all of the damage is identified, and that creates a great sense of security for our customers.
Guys, thank you so much, and I would assume that you guys will want to come back here in maybe a few weeks and let's revisit this issue.
Absolutely.
So much valuable information for Illinois growers, the folks from country. When we break and come back, we'll talk to Bauer Trading. We'll be back. This is RFD Today. Here's your livestock summary on the RFD Radio Network. I'm Rita Frazier. U.S. Trade Representative Robert Lighthizer said that negotiations are continuing with Japan in order to open up the country further for U.S. agricultural and livestock exports, especially important considering the trade standoff with China and a need for alternative markets as a result. Lighthizer, testifying to legislators on the Senate Finance Committee, says the U.S. is making headway with working out a larger agreement with Japan, with more headway hopefully coming during the G20 summit in Japan. Let's check cash numbers for hogs in Illinois yesterday. We're at 47 to a cash top of $51. In the futures as we roll today in a lean hogs, July contract up 17, 81.65, August up 62, 82.32.
do people benefit from raising livestock here in Illinois? Rich Giebert, Illinois farmer, president of the Illinois Farm Bureau.
Well, growing up on a livestock farm was always interesting, and I enjoy it more today than I did back then. But it did give me the opportunity to have a good work ethic, learn to get up in the morning. And you know, that was difficult during my senior days at high school and college days. I had a tendency not to go to bed at a respectable hour. But no, it was always enjoyable on the farm and getting up before daybreak and milking the cows and getting the chores done and then go about the rest of the day's business.
Illinois Farm Bureau, along with beef, corn, milk, pork, and soybean associations, make up the Livestock Development Group, supporting the Illinois livestock sector. For more information, check out illinoislivestock.org.
We're back on RFD today. Jim Bauer, Bauer Trading, joins us. Another down day in the markets, and Jim's going to tell us all about what we've been seeing here. Jim, are you weather today and every day, or is the China conversation coming in to make an impact as well?
Well, I think the market had raced so far ahead of itself. It needed a couple of days to kind of calm down and take a time out and kind of relax a little bit. I mean, it's been a pretty torrid couple of weeks with all the problems that have developed with the crop in the eastern Corn Belt. We've seen the situation with China become more of a question mark, either good or bad, on a daily basis. And, of course, the funds have played their role of being too short, too long, and of course they had to recover, and that caused a massive exit to the doors, and got that corn market heated up pretty fast. In fact, I was just talking to a customer that I've known for a long, long time. In my career, and I started basically trading a little bit when I was 17 years old with my dad and grandpa, but in my career, I've never seen the eastern Corn Belt look as bad as it looks for this time of year, and I stress for this time of year. I mean, it certainly could improve. Things to the north and to the west don't seem to be as dire as they are in parts of Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Michigan. Those spots in those states continue, and I repeat, continue to have problems, and there's more rain on the way on the extended model. So very unusual market, one I've never seen before. I feel that if we do hit hot, dry weather at the wrong time, and of course that's an awfully big question mark. Weather markets are mercurial in nature and very difficult to master. But if we do hit that hot, dry at the wrong time and we start dropping even more yield off, I think we're in for a wild, epic ride.
A wild, epic ride.
That's what I think. Again, and basically, it's kind of based upon just simple looking at the crop. I mean, you can clearly see there's been tremendous drown out, tremendous amounts of replant. We still don't know for sure about prevent plant, but in my career, I've never seen the eastern Corn Belt look this bad, this long, this late in the game. It's very unusual.
So with the market reacting, listening and absorbing that, how do farmers take full advantage of what the market is giving us this week?
I mentioned that in the market letter this morning. It becomes kind of a due diligence type thing. You've really got to step up your homework, your recognition of basis levels. Yesterday there was a basis level in Ohio of July plus 50. So that offers some opportunities that normally would never be there unless we were in a very tight situation, a very uncertain situation, and the end user has decided that he or she doesn't want to take too much risk of being out of the market. So I guess the number one thing what I'm trying to say is more homework time on the markets and watch the basis levels as close as you can. Keep in mind, and this is going to sound kind of odd, but keep in mind that we're not even into a major bull market in corn yet. That has not happened because July corn is still discounted to September and still discounted to December. And in a true, authentic, validated market, to have a bull market, you have to have the front month's lead. So they've been trying to lead, and I think they're going to eventually do that, but we haven't got there yet. So we're still, in my opinion, in the early stages of uncertainty, and we just don't know where this crop price is going to land yet. It's very, very unusual year, one that none of us have ever seen before.
On top of that, we referenced it at the top. We talked with Rich Giebert about it at the top of this program. In fact, the chances of a USMCA plus that China situation, how close do you watch that?
Well, about 15 years ago, I saw the change in the marketplace from more fundamental supply-demand situation to kind of technical makeup and to more global structure. So let's not forget the importance of the global impact and the global effect that the price can have based on what happens there. So right now we're watching the Ukraine, we're watching India, we're watching Australia pretty closely for changing weather patterns to hopefully better conditions. But in answer to your question, I think there's a lot of question marks sitting up there, and we're going to have to address them one by one over the next month to 2 months.
Little less than 1 minute remaining, Jim Bauer. What can you give us? What's your 60 seconds of golden nugget information?
Well, the home run trade on the board, and of course, there's always when you swing for home runs, you always have a greater degree of risk of striking out. But a trade that we're watching and we're utilizing as a kind of replacement trade, and I've seen this trade before work extremely well, but you got to be careful with it and recognize the risk parameters. But if we get into this Eastern Corn Belt worsening, we would look at long September, short December on this bull spread. But again, that has to be done on an individual basis, and it is a high risk trade.
Jim Bauer, Bauer Trading, great thanks to you, my friend, and we will talk to you next month here on the RFD Today program. Thanks to all of our guests and to producer Nick McClintock. We'll be right back here tomorrow with another edition of RFD Today. More farm news and information ahead. Stay tuned for more RFD Today here on the Illinois Farm Bureau Radio